Welcome back to Documentary Reel, your home for the most compelling stories from history and science. Today, we're delving into one of the most controversial psychological studies ever conducted. What happens when you place good people in a seemingly evil place? Do they rise above, or does the situation corrupt them? These were the questions psychologist Philip Zimbardo sought to answer in the summer of 1971. The setting was a makeshift prison, constructed in the basement of Stanford University's psychology building. The participants were 24 mentally and physically healthy male college students, drawn from a pool of 75 applicants who responded to a newspaper ad offering $15 a day for a study on prison life. They were randomly assigned to one of two roles, prisoner or guard. None of them had any prior history of criminal behavior, psychological issues, or medical problems. They were, by all accounts, ordinary, well-adjusted young men. The experiment was scheduled to last for 2 weeks. It was shut down after just 6 days. What unfolded in that short time revealed a chilling side of human nature, a darkness that can emerge when the lines between roles and reality begin to blur. For the students assigned the role of prisoner, the experiment began abruptly and terrifyingly. They were arrested at their homes by real Palo Alto police officers, charged with fictional crimes, and taken to the police station. They were fingerprinted, blindfolded, and transported to the Stanford County Jail. There, they were stripped, deloused, and given a smock-like uniform with an identification number on the front and back. This number would become their new identity. A heavy chain was locked around one ankle, a constant physical reminder of their imprisonment. They were to be referred to only by their number, a deliberate process of de-individuation designed to strip them of their personal identity. The guards, on the other hand, were given no specific training. They were simply told to maintain law and order within the prison. Zimbardo, taking on the role of prison superintendent, instructed them that they could create a sense of powerlessness in the prisoners. They were given khaki uniforms, reflective sunglasses to prevent eye contact, and a wooden baton. Although physical aggression was forbidden, these symbols of power quickly began to influence their behavior. The first day passed with relative calm, but the situation deteriorated rapidly. On the morning of the second day, the prisoners rebelled. They barricaded their cell doors with their beds and taunted the guards. The guards' response was swift and harsh. They broke into the cells, stripped the prisoners, took away their beds, and placed the ringleaders into solitary confinement, a small, dark closet. This confrontation marked a turning point. The guards began to escalate their tactics, employing psychological manipulation to control the prisoners. They started using push-ups as a form of physical punishment, often forcing prisoners to do them while a guard stepped on their back. Privileges, such as using the restroom, were turned into rewards that could be granted or denied at a guard's whim. Some guards would force prisoners to clean toilets with their bare hands. The psychological toll on the prisoners was immediate and severe. Less than 36 hours into the experiment, one prisoner, number 8612, began to suffer from acute emotional disturbance, disorganized thinking, and uncontrollable crying and rage. After initially being told he couldn't leave, Zimbardo and his team realized the young man's distress was genuine. He was released, a stark early sign that the experiment was spiraling out of control. The guards, meanwhile, seemed to be embracing their roles with disturbing enthusiasm. They divided themselves into different shifts, with some becoming progressively more sadistic, especially during the night shift when they believed they were not being watched as closely. They devised cruel and arbitrary rules, forcing prisoners to sing songs, repeat their numbers endlessly, and endure long periods of sleep deprivation by waking them 4 counts in the middle of the night. The sense of reality within the experiment became dangerously blurred, not just for the participants, but for Zimbardo himself. He later admitted to being fully consumed by his role as prison superintendent, prioritizing the security of his prison over the well-being of the student participants. A visit from a prison chaplain, who treated the simulated prison as a real one, further reinforced this distorted reality. He even offered to help the prisoners get a lawyer. When one prisoner's parents came to visit, Zimbardo manipulated them into believing their son was fine, rather than allowing them to take him home. The experiment's ethical violations were profound. The principle of informed consent was compromised, as participants could not have possibly understood the level of psychological distress they would endure. Furthermore, their right to withdraw was not honored. When prisoners asked to leave, they were often met with resistance and told that they had to stay, which violated the ethical guidelines for any research involving human subjects. The dual role of Zimbardo as both lead researcher and prison superintendent created a massive conflict of interest. His investment in the prison narrative prevented him from maintaining the objective detachment required of a researcher. It was Christina Maslach, a graduate student and Zimbardo's then-girlfriend, who finally brought the experiment to an end. When she visited the prison on the evening of the 5th day, she was horrified by what she saw. She witnessed the guards leading the prisoners, with bags over their heads and their legs chained together, on a trip to the toilet. She confronted Zimbardo, arguing that what he was doing was monstrous and that these young men were suffering. Her outside perspective was the wake-up call that Zimbardo needed. He terminated the experiment the very next morning, on the 6th day. The 2 weeks had been cut short, but the damage had already been done. In the aftermath, the participants were brought together to discuss their experiences. The guards expressed a mixture of shock and disbelief at their own behavior, struggling to reconcile their actions with their self-perception as good, moral people. The prisoners spoke of the intense feelings of helplessness, dehumanization, and psychological distress they had endured. The study left a lasting impact on all involved. So, what does the Stanford prison experiment teach us? It serves as a powerful, albeit ethically flawed, illustration of the power of the situation. It suggests that the roles we are given and the systems we are part of can exert a profound influence on our behavior, sometimes overriding our personal values and morals. The guards weren't bad apples, the experiment created a bad barrel that corrupted them. The uniforms, the symbols of power, and the perceived legitimacy of the authority structure all contributed to their transformation. It highlights the dangers of de-individuation, where people lose their sense of individual identity and personal responsibility when they are part of a group, especially when their identity is concealed, like the guards was by their sunglasses. The experiment has faced significant criticism over the years. Scholars have questioned its methodology, pointing out that Zimbardo may have implicitly coached the guards on how to behave, a concept known as demand characteristics. Critics also argue that the participants might have been role-playing, acting in a way they thought was expected of them rather than genuinely transforming. However, the severe emotional breakdowns experienced by the prisoners suggest that for them, it was all too real. Despite its flaws, the Stanford prison experiment remains a landmark study in social psychology. It forced the field to reevaluate its ethical standards, leading to the establishment of institutional review boards to protect human subjects in research. It's a chilling reminder that the line between good and evil is permeable. It shows how easily ordinary people can be led to commit acts of cruelty under the influence of powerful situational forces and a perceived sense of authority. The study compels us to question the institutions and systems of power in our own society. It challenges us to remain vigilant against the subtle pressures that can lead us to act in ways that contradict our deepest values. It's a dark lesson, but a vital one. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the human psyche. What do you think? Were the guards truly corrupted, or were they just acting? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story as fascinating as we did, be sure to like this video and subscribe to Documentary Reel for more in-depth explorations of the events that shaped our world. We'll see you in the next one.